So over here I have my old flock of quail, and what I'm going to be doing is, because their numbers are a bit low for the size of this cage, I'm going to be adding a new flock of quail with the old flock. So you're not used to seeing me like this, it's more like this that you always watch in my videos, but this is a longer form type of video, and because there's a lot to explain. It's not as simple as me just putting the new flock of quail with the old flock. Because these birds are so territorial, what ends up happening if you don't do it correctly is the more dominant flock will start attacking the more meek flock. There is a pecking system, a pecking order, so some fighting is to be expected, but you want to try and avoid it as much as possible, because I've seen already within the old flock already, because of the pecking order, there will be some bullying, and one of my quails have already started bleeding from their head before, and so trying to get as best of a transition as possible. You want that, because they can kill each other if not transitioned properly. Let me first show you my setup. So this is the original cage. This was originally a plant stand for when I had my nursery, and all I did was I put doors and a roof on top of it, and I made 2 layers. I originally had a stairs running from the top to the bottom, thinking that, you know, the quail could just use both sections, but they never used the stairs, so it's now 2 separate cages. So this flock I have about 6 months now, and they've been doing really well. You can see they are laying eggs regularly, daily. And over here, let me show you the new cages I built. These were the plant boxes I couldn't sell back when I had my nursery, and so I just built a top section to put on top of the plant boxes, and now we have new quail cages. I want to, because of the size of this cage, I want to keep 3 birds in this maximum. Okay, so you see there's 4 in there. I want to take one of those ones out here and put it in there, and there's 5 birds here. So what will end up happening is the top layer will have 7 birds and the bottom layer will have 7 birds, and for the size of this cage, it is still plenty of space where they will be comfortable. At the end of the day, I want to have my quail as comfortable as possible. I want to raise them as humanely as possible, and I want them to live good lives, so I don't want them to be too cramped. You could fit a lot more quail in this size cage, but it's all about comfort. I want to show you that I created a barrier between 1/4 of the cage and the other 3/4 of the cage here on top, and that was because I had 2 quail up here that I wanted to slowly transition into the main cage, but because I was afraid of them fighting, I wanted them to become familiar with each other through this wire before actually allowing them to make contact with each other. It didn't end up working out as I wanted it to, because when I eventually, after giving them a week of them being separated that way, I put the new batch of quail with the old batch of quail, and the old batch of quail were attacking the new batch. So that didn't work at all. I asked some advice through experts, people who have been raising quail for years, and so I was given 2 different pieces of advice, and I'm going to explain to you now what those were. So the one person advised that just introduce the new flock and fighting is going to happen. They will establish what the pecking order is. Bullying is very normal, and it's something that I must just accept. But because I've already seen what comes of the bullying, like I said, the bleeding head of one of my quails, and they can die, they can kill each other. This other method I do want to try, and if they do still fight with each other, I'm just going to accept that this is the case with quail, that they do need to establish that pecking order. They do that by asserting dominance over the other, and if that's the case, I can't do anything about it. That is what it is. But I want to try and mitigate that bullying as much as possible. So I'm going to try the second method, which is taking all the quail out of... Sorry, he started crying, he's also not feeling well. But what I was saying was, with the second method, I'm going to be taking all the quail out of the cage, putting them in a box. This is now the old quail. I'll be putting the house on a different spot, the water bucket on a different spot, the food bowl on a different spot, making the place look as different as possible, mixing up the bedding and everything, so that when I put the old quail into their cage, they're back in the cage, they'll be a bit confused on if they're in the same spot or in a different spot. In that confusion, I'll also be putting the new quail with them, and that helps to transition both flocks of quail. When they confuse on when they all confuse on different environments, then one quail won't feel territorial over the spot, because they all think that they in a different new environment. Okay, so that's all of them here in this one box. Okay, so over here we have the new flock. Let me try and get them. Oh. Okay. Okay. So I'm not really seeing any bullying right now. We'll have to see how it goes. I'll update you as it goes along. The new flock and the old flock eating side by side. That's a good sign. So it's been about an hour, and you can see that the new flock of quail is getting really cozy with the old flock. That's a female from the new flock with the male of the old flock. No fighting at all from what I can see, and I've done the same here at the top. And yeah, so far it looks to be a successful transition. So we have 7 at the top and 7 at the bottom.